Welcome back. In the automotive industry, each brand can be defined by their core principles, by their ethos, by their design values. On rare and monumental occasions, a design will be revealed that perfectly captures the essence and the identity of that brand in a way that has never been done before. And today we're going to look at 3 examples from BMW that do exactly that. Having worked at BMW and also on the design of the X5, which you can watch a video here, I have 3 points that I've noticed throughout BMW's history that are mainstays in their design language. One of them, absolutely, I would say, is the athletic elegance that they have. The second is visual lightness. And what do I mean by visual lightness? Well, the cars look absolutely light on their feet. And most importantly, I think that is characteristic of all of BMWs is the dynamic proportions. When I say dynamic proportions, I mean that it looks absolutely balanced on its wheels. Now let's get into what are my 3 favorite designs from BMW that encapsulate that philosophy of BMW design. In at number 1 is the BMW M1. Now this is one of BMW's most important models of all time. And not only because it is BMW's first proper supercar, but also it's the original M car from BMW. So this is a car that has a bit of the sort of Italian touch to it. Obviously, BMW had never done a car like this before, so they turned outside of their own company to find help. And it was a bit of Lamborghini at the beginning, and Lamborghini wasn't able to follow it through. So the design of this car was handed over to Giorgetto Giugiaro of Ital Design, and he did an absolutely amazing job on this car. He turned a BMW into a supercar, and this is really the only supercar that they have actually ever done. If you look at the front of the car, you can tell it's different. It's a unique interpretation of a BMW. Namely, when you look at those pop-up headlights on the front, you look at that grille, which has been stylized, purely stylized. It's not an intake. And if you stand and look at the car, even from whatever angle you want to look at, you recognize it immediately. Italian touches to it. It's got that dramatic wedge shape proportion to it, which really stands out. And as you look to the side of the car, that wedge shape becomes even more evident with that higher back end and almost like a block of cheese sitting there. The way he split the body in 2 with that black line through the middle, that is pure Giugiaro, pure elegance. Now the proportions of this car, the dynamic proportions of it are incredible. This car is very low. And again, that line splitting through the middle of it really cut the weight, visual weight out of the mass of the side of the car. Works absolutely very nicely. You see how the surface of the door comes out from the belt line from where the window meets the side of the car. You can see it starts to come out, hits that black line, and then starts to come back in. And so you have a light surface on the top, a darker surface underneath, and that really is a successful way and a very, very intelligent way to make the car visually lighter on its feet. Now, for me, that money shot has to be the rear 3/4. I mean, that is pure Italian design at its best, I think. Now, when I say it's pure Italian design, I mean that he's also been considering that this car has to be for a Germanic company. So there are sharp edges which make it very interesting. You can see how the C-pillar, the flying buttress comes down off the roof and it's got that hard edgeness to it. But there is a sense of organicness to the boot, to the deck lid. If you look at it in the back, how it sweeps again and introduces a bit of curvature to it. Another one of the design characteristics that you can see that make it a BMW from the side view is the way Giorgetto Giugiaro's constructed the Hofmeister Knick. Now, the Hofmeister Knick is that typical BMW line at the leading edge of the C-pillar, and you can see how he's executed it here. He has it. It's almost Germanic in the stiffness of it, because even the Germans have done it softer than this. You would almost expect an Italian to do it in a softer way, but he's done it in a more aggressive way. This car is not pure sensual Italianness, it's almost an aggressive Italianness. And for those reasons, the BMW M1 will always remain for me one of their most beautiful, one of their most dynamic, one of the most elegant BMW designs ever, and of course the building block for all the future M series BMWs. Number 2 on my list is BMW's first road-going sports car. This one is pure eye candy. This one is the BMW, we call it the E9 3.0 CS, whether you say CSI or the CSL, slightly different versions. One of the most beautiful things I find on the E9 is how that leading edge of the bonnet is in front of the rest of the car. It has that shark nose profile as you look at it from the side. Again, speaking about the athletic elegance of a car, look at the grille on this car here, the front end of it. Sporty and elegant at the same time. And I think a lot of it has to do with the grille also, the proportions of the grille. They're not cartoonish, they're not overdone. They're simply pure and elegance personified. So the guy responsible for the design of the E9 is actually Wilhelm Hofmeister, and Hofmeister, we know, is the man responsible for the Hofmeister knick, or kink as we call it, in the C-pillar of this car. And he's carried it through, obviously, and we can see that as being one of the strong points of the design of this car. What I also love is on the front of the car, how you can track that molding that goes from the leading edge, the front of the bonnet area, all the way around the car. It holds the car together. It's done in an absolutely elegant manner, not over styled, giving it that lightness, that visual lightness that we speak about when we look at the earlier BMWs. It's done it extremely well. That greenhouse has incredibly thin A pillars. It has an incredibly thin C pillar. But look at the B pillar. There is no B pillar on this car. It's glass to glass, meaning the door glass meets up against the rear quarter glass without a pillar. And that is, of course, structurally difficult to do, but they've done it here, and it's all the better visually for it. I mean, that car is absolutely stunning. When you drop the windows, it's elegance personified. If you look at the E9 from the rear three-quarter, what you can see is a similarity to the Chevrolet Corvair. Now, that's not a bad thing, but the BMW has probably got it done a little bit better, a little bit more elegant and sporty, but there is a similarity. Now, an interesting design feature on the 3.0 CSL are the chrome wheel arch flares. They're added on there actually for a reason. There's a purpose behind them, which is to cover the wider track. Now, they could have done it in probably body color. It probably would have suited the car better as a CSL being the more racy type or the more sportier version of the car. So I probably would have done them in body color, but they do add a little bit of flair to the car, no pun intended. In summary, I think the BMW E9 will stand the test of time. It holds true to everything that BMW represented up to that point, and actually made a difference to all the future BMWs that came after it. And for all those reasons, I think the BMW E9 needs to be on my list of the 3 greatest BMWs. And in conclusion, my third favorite BMW designer, and even some people say the most beautiful BMW in existence, has to be the 1958 BMW 507. This car is a masterpiece of design. This car was designed by none less than Count Albrecht Graf von Goertz. BMW needed to come up with a car that could compete with the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. Now, the car to do it was this one here. So what did Von Goetz do to this car to make it special? Well, look at the front of this car. First of all, he went on a limb with the BMW grille. It's got the almost horizontal impression of a BMW kidney type approach for the grille, but he's done it in an extremely simple, extremely functioning way. He's got the intake done in such a way that he represents the two kidneys, but in a way that, again, is supremely functional, allowing enough air to get in there to do the cooling. That very slim, very elegantly treated front bumper on there. Don't even need it. I would not even have it on there if I had my choice, but it's done in a very light, very sensual way almost, and below it, there's nothing. I mean, that is a new approach to design. I think when it first came out, I wasn't sure when I first saw this car. It doesn't have a chin, doesn't have anything underneath the front bumper, but what does it do? It gives you that sort of light feeling that, again, is very important for BMWs to have, but there's an elegance to the overall flow of the design of this car. Look how the wheel arches have that light spear coming off the top and backwards on them. It's got it on the front and back. There's a very elegant treatment to the side surfaces. I love how the headlights are just extensions of the volumes of the front fenders. Very simple, very elegant. Just cut and sliced and pushed in. I love how the way the designers included the BMW logo in the side vent. That even carries through to today. We've seen it on very recently still on BMWs. And then as we move to the rear of the 507, what I absolutely love is the simplicity of the rear of this design. Nothing overly controversial, just pure forms coming to an end, having that beautiful line of the sensuality of the rear fenders coming up, down, and over the boot area. Very pure lines, very simple treatment of all the surfaces, and just what needs to be there. Pure elegance, pure sportiness at the same time, and hugely desirable from this view. A lot of the comments in the previous video were that I should probably give some honorable mentions to other cars in the brand. So in this one, I'm going to mention 3 great cars that I think should have made it, but didn't for whatever reason. The first one being the BMW 2002 Tii. The second one has to be the E46, the 3 Series from 1997, designed by one of my favorite designers. And again, the third one, especially, I think, from the newer era, is the BMW F10 sedan series from 2010. Stunning also. Thank you very much. Having said all of that, I think now what we have to do is touch a little bit on the fact of where BMW is currently in their design language, where they're going, and where I think they could probably learn a lesson or two, and that is to definitely have a look back in their history and see what made them successful. If they can just manage to capture all of that in a new design direction, then I think they're going to capture what all lovers of BMWs have always loved and continue to love. Capturing that is the essence of BMW. And if they can just rein in the wildness of BMW design at the moment, it's almost chaotic in a little bit of a design sense. If they can rein in on that, pull back on it, then they'll come back to what BMWs are recognized as being and true to the values of BMW. And I think that will make them return to design success. As always, leave your comments below. Let me know what your 3 favorite BMW designs are. I look forward to reading them, and I also look forward to seeing you in the future.